Hi, Denise. I'm happy to have you here, and I'm going to start off asking you like how you got started on this spiritual path and how you got started teaching and all that, because you've been with Hay House for a real long time, but we have a bunch of new people who don't know the beginning. They just know all the stuff you're doing now. So could you tell us about that?
You know, Reed, I never, ever thought when I was growing up that I would be doing something like this. I never thought I'd be in the New Age. Both my parents were scientists, and I wanted to be a scientist. They were also atheists. Even though I'm Native American on their side, she was interested in the political rights of her people, but not the spirituality. But when I was 17, I had an experience that dramatically changed the course of my life. I had a little motorbike. We lived in Ohio, and I was putting down a country road, and what I didn't know is I was being followed by someone I did not know, I hadn't done anything to. And suddenly he hit the gas and he rammed into me, and I skidded across the road. And as I lay on the side of the road, I watched him, and I watched him turn his car around, and I thought he was coming to help me. But instead, he rolled down the window and he pulled out a gun and he shot me. Eventually, I was found and taken to a nearby emergency ward. And when I was there was a moment when the doctors actually thought I died, and I remember that moment. I remember leaving my body. I remember going to this place that was so beautiful and so light, and it was home. I knew I'd been there before, and I was so happy to be home, and I felt one with everything and everyone in this infinite sense of love. And there was this river, and I knew that if I could get across that river, I would never go back to my body, and I was ready. I got about halfway through, and I felt like I'd gotten roped. Now, on my Cherokee side of the family, my relatives are involved in the rodeo, and I got to be the cow, and my cousins got to practice roping me. So I'm thinking I'm roped. People say it was my astral cord. But I got yanked back into my body. My body was really damaged. I lost a kidney, a spleen, a adrenal gland, a good part of one of my lungs. There's still a hole through my spine. I was told I never would have children, part of my intestines, stomach. Anyway, a lot of damage was done. But something happened on the other side. Something was ignited, and I healed really quickly. The doctors couldn't believe it. And I began to see things that other people didn't see. I saw light around animals and plants, and I began to hear sound and music that other people didn't hear. And it changed my life. And I knew that what had happened to me, could happen for anybody, that shift. I knew that inside of each person was an ember, if you will, and there was a way to ignite that ember into a flame so that you could be able to sense and see this majestic, beautiful universe around us. And that's what started me on the path, on the journey.
Wow, that's quite a story. That's amazing, like that, how you experience the other side, and it makes so much sense for all you've done in your life, because you've used so many different principles, you've taught so many different things, but that deep spiritual part is always part of it. And one of the things I'm doing is asking everyone what their own personal spiritual practices are. Do you have your own spiritual practice, and how maybe those have changed throughout the years?
I wanted to get back to that place. And I knew it wasn't up there. People think, oh, it's heaven, it's up there. I knew it was here. And I was so homesick for it. I had such a yearning and even a sadness that I wasn't there. And I intuitively knew there was a way to get there. So I ended up moving into a Zen Buddhist monastery, and I meditated. They call it sitting, but I meditated up to 16 hours a day. And I did this for 2 years. And I never got enlightened, but it really deepened the appreciation I have for meditation. So that was, I guess, my very first spiritual practice. But after I left the Zendo, I noticed that if I didn't meditate, I felt guilty about it. And I felt like, oh, I can't have a good day. I didn't meditate. And after a while, I realized that for me, I was equating meditation with guilt. And although meditation is fantastic, for me, I thought maybe there's another way. So I began to explore my own Native American heritage, which has to do with nature and being in nature. And I found that in every Native culture, there's an understanding of the potency and the power of nature. So I spent time with the Zulu in Africa. I was adopted by a Maori tribe in New Zealand. I spent time with the Aborigines in Australia. I spent a lot of time with my own tribal members, but also a lot of various tribes in the United States, beginning to understand how we can, simply by being in nature, how we can listen to the whispers of the universe, and we can find that sacred place within.